Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of CookieCast. Today on CookieCast, it's Darkest Timeline. So it's me talking me stuff, I guess. Change in temperature. You know, when you've got nothing to talk about the weather, as I think the saying goes. Does it? The joys of modern technology and how truly wonderful it is. I mean, no, that other thing. There's some children-based stuff, because, you know, apparently I talk about children sometimes. And then it's on to the TV, the movies, the games, the VR, the other ways of playing computer games that we talk about. Anyway, before we get started, please do consider like, share, subscribe and comment. Leave a review where you can leave a review. Obviously the big one, the one that we like the bestest. Share that podcast around. Right, let's get started. Here we go. This is CookieCast, the Darkest Timeline. Hello. How are you doing? You well? Oh, all those good intentions. Hopefully you can't hear the fan. That is actually a topic of conversation for today. I think it may be the first topic of conversation. I've got a fan running. It is my super duper cool fan that is tiny, wee, and does an amazing job because it does the humidifier thing. My fucking God. I want to get this out of the way right here and now. Apple is at the absolute top of my fucking shit list at the moment. Oh, I just wish companies would fuck off. Anyway. So, this is one of those where we're going to talk about something that happened last week versus something that happened today and just see what difference a week can make. I wrote down on the old Listeroo. Let me just move this microphone and not try and make loads of noise whilst doing it. Right on the old list that I wasn't quite ready for the heat to go. So, Wednesday just gone, I said to my youngest daughter, can you believe that a week ago it was the hottest day of the year? And this was because she was complaining that she was cold. Because it was chilly. I had made a terrible clothing choice of shorts and t-shirt, and instead would have really liked jeans and a jacket. That's how much the weather had changed. And I am a man who has spent 44 years, I'm going to guess, complaining about the heat. I've never liked it. I've never enjoyed it. I've never been a real sort of fan of the heat. It just me and heat just don't get on. And a lot of that was to do with being bigger, I believe. I remember the first summer where I'd trimmed down quite a bit, or at least what I thought was quite a bit at that time. Turned out that was what now would be several stone ago, but different story. And saying to somebody, I tell you something, it's a lot easier to get through the summer without carrying around all that weight. And they were like, well, yeah, it would be. So you have things like that. However, we have had summers of recent times that have been bordering on unbearable. There is the famous hottest day in history where I had to go and lie down because I just could not handle it. I couldn't process. But I was having a conversation with somebody a few weeks ago, and I was like, I always have to remind myself, you essentially have 3 weeks of any bad weather season. So you've got 3 weeks in summer and 3 weeks in winter where it's the worst. And then basically you're just heading in the other direction. So in summer you have 3 weeks where it's hot as balls, and then it's not as warm. And if you can get through those 3 weeks, you're kind of done. Same with winter. Like, there's a point where you're like, this is the coldest it's ever been. Ride it out for 3 weeks and you'll be all right. And that's kind of that. So we've had we've been enjoying the children's holidays, and it's all hunky-dory and it's all going in that direction and everyone's having a great time. And then the weather wasn't amazing. And you're like, okay, well, can't win them all. It's not raining. It hasn't been raining. And, hose pipe ban, etc. So you gotta take the small victories. And then last week, gone. You're dropping low 20s, below. Those early mornings where you're going out for your run and you open the door, you're like, whew, might need a pair of gloves. Not quite, but the thought enters your head. You're like, I just need to get moving, sort of thing. So I'm in the shorts thinking maybe it's time to retire these for the season. I'm in the vest thinking, I might just leave my t-shirt on this evening. I'm in the sandal, flip-flop, slider, whatever you want to call it. And I'm like, maybe I'll go sock slippers combo this evening. It was that direction. I start looking longingly at the house trousers and hoodie combo. There's a day every year. There's like 2 days every year, should I say. One where I switch to summer mode and one where I switch to winter mode. And that's basically that. Those are my 2 seasons, because we only have 2 seasons, let's face it. So, like I say, last week, Wednesday, I'm like, it is too cold too soon. Because it happened so suddenly, within a week of the hottest day of the year, we're like, it's a bit chilly. I just wasn't ready for it. I was just like, bro, this is not what I signed up for. You're supposed to gradually move away, from 30 down to 28, from 28 down to 26, 26 down to 24. You do that over a couple of weeks as well. It's not like day after day. And as those weeks wear on, next thing you realise, you're in the low 20s and below, and then before long the jacket's there. And on that day, I made the switch. I put the shorts in the wash. I got a hoodie for going out to walk the dog. The dog was getting 2 walks a day. He didn't know whether he was coming or going. And I'm like, well, we had a okay run, but honestly, the last couple of weeks haven't been brilliant. Barring the hottest day. So it was kind of that. It was that, it's out. And as my default form being, I hate the heat, I hate the bloody heat, it's too bloody warm. It's weird for me to be like, it seems like it's gone too soon. And it signifies a lot of things. I cannot express at this point in time how little I am looking forward to the children going back to school. I can't put it into words. I look at it and I'm just like, it's like some sort of harbinger of doom. It's like the kids go back to school. Everything gets busier. Getting to work's going to be a nightmare. We've got like a car situation, so there's like that to take into account. It's going to be harder to get anywhere anyway. There's all of this. Everything just gets harder. So I'm not looking forward to it. I don't want it to happen. I prefer them being here, and I know it's harder in other ways, but it's a lot easier in some other ways. Then you start thinking, well, there's like, Halloween, bonfire night, that thing we don't talk about in August. I've still got like a big birthday to get through, and planning out the money side of things for that, and there's like all that sort of stuff is like back end of the year stuff. And I joke and all of this about how once the kids go back to school, there's only one thing anybody ever talks about, and I hate it. There's so much more to get. I'm doing a parody of myself here, which is lame. So that's that, and I'm like, I wasn't really prepared for this. I wasn't really, this wasn't really what I signed up for. But hey, we had a good run. We had a nice time. We went to the beach, etc. 28 degrees today. 28 degrees on a bank holiday Monday. 28 degrees on a bank holiday Monday. Who has ever heard of that? I went out of the house today and I said to the children, look at it. There's not a cloud in the sky right now. It is glorious out here. Luckily, I could wear my workout stuff, which attributes to sort of, shorts. I have to feel weird going out of the house with my workout stuff because I'm always like, I don't want people to think I'm one of them. But if you see me out of the house and I'm in workout gear, work on this principle. I have just come from some sort of exercise and I am going to some sort of exercise. For example, this morning when I left the house in workout gear, I'd come from a run / dog walk and I was going to a workout. Not a lot of point getting changed. I know it looks ridiculous. I'm kind of over it at this point. And you should be too. Yeah, 27 degrees. I've got the fan blasting. I don't know if you can hear it. If you can, I'm sorry. I'll try and edit it out. Lol, like I have any clue how to do something that silly. Does anybody remember that my watch was broken? My watch was not recording my workouts. It was, I would say, a little annoying, but that would be an understatement. It was ridiculous. I think at the point that I broke 300 minutes of exercise and hadn't closed the exercise move ring, I was like, something is seriously wrong here. So I Googled it and I uninstalled it and I reinstalled it and I turned everything off and I turned it all back on and nothing was working. I think it's common knowledge at this point in time that I am a moron. I am straight up idiot. Every morning that I set my watch to do one of a few things, run, walk the dog, whatever, my watch says, hey, set up the watch in the app. And I'm like, well, it's already set up. I've been using it for years at this point in time. Probably don't need to do that. It's probably fine. It then says, what do you want to do today? A run, a walk, whatever. And away I go. So the other morning, I'm like, that can't be the reason, surely. So I quickly opened the app and there it was. Let's get finished in setting up the app. Yeah. And I'm like, fuck. Right, okay, let's do that then, shall we? So, it asked me literally 2 questions. Then it was like, right, you're set up and you're ready to go. And on that day, the watch seemed to be working again. And away I went, and I was doing my workouts and doing my runs and doing my workout and doing my climbing, dog walks. And for that day, we were living the dream, kids. We were back in the saddle, back at it. We were back. Yep, for that day, we were back. I honestly don't know what it is. Like, personally, you can't tell me there's no coincidence between there being an update and now nothing works. My charger doesn't work. My app doesn't work. I'm not getting any workout statistics. Nothing. I'm surprised it barely works as a watch at this point in time. I have for a long time believed that there is this thing that when an update comes at a certain point in time, that update has one job and one job only, which is to break your product so that you look at getting a new one. Once you've had one for so long, that company's not making any money, and that's not what their business is, so they need you to buy a new one. And honestly, as a consumer, there's me on the internet. How much is it for a new one? What can I do with this one? Can I trade it in? Can I get some money off stuff? What do I do about this? Oh, this one's got £100 off it at this point in time. Maybe I should get this. So, it's not like it doesn't work. Because there's me going, maybe I need a new one. Then I had a conversation with a couple of people. You may know them. Depends if you listen to or watch any podcasts they may have been on. And I'm like, any of you had any issues with the rings not closing for like exercise-based stuff? And I was surprised by the response, because the response I got was, what difference does it make? I'm like, what do you mean? What difference does it make? If I'm not closing the rings, what's the point? They were like, yeah, but did you go for a run that day? If the answer is yes, don't worry about it. Did you do all the stuff you set out to do? If the answer is yes, don't worry about it. Crack open a beer and chill out. And I'm like, but I didn't close the rings. And the kind of take on it was, and? I'm like, I mean, I guess. So over the last few days of less and less watch and more working out, like I said about this on the impromptu day off I had, on a couple of other days. I've talked about this like last week when I was saying like it was broken and stuff. I was killing myself. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, I was grinding myself into the ground, just driving myself headfirst into the ground. Like, there were points where I just didn't stop moving, and nothing was working, and nothing worked, and blah, 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 blah. And all of this. And then there was a day where I was listening to a podcast that was talking about taking it easy and the benefits. And this was like there was a day back end of the week. I didn't have enough time to do a full workout. I'm listening to this podcast that's talking about taking it easy. I'm having watch issues. And I'm like, okay, let's combine it on. Let's combine all of this stuff. I'm going to do a different type of workout today. I'm going to get all my numbers in, but I'm going to do it in a completely different way. I'm going to consolidate all of the reps, sets, and everything into a shorter version. So I'm still getting it all done. I'm just getting it done quicker and in some ways easier. That's step one. Step two. I'm not going to worry as much about the rings and stuff. I've done enough to say that they'll probably close, because I've just gone so far past an acceptable level at this point. I just have to accept. And I had other stuff to do. So I was like, that's 3 reasons to just take a steady away. And that's what I did. And honestly, it was so refreshing. So much nicer, so much more comfortable, so much more, like that breath, that releasing of that breath and going, oh, wow, knowing that I'm still doing what I'd set out to do, yet maybe I didn't need to break my neck to do it. So I decided that if the issues were still persistent today, I was going to make an executive decision to knock the numbers down on the rings and just say, look, I know what I need to do. Like today, I needed to run in the morning so I could weigh in, do a workout, ideally before this evening, because I've got 3 podcasts to code this evening, and 2 dog walks. Now, admittedly, too warm to walk the dog this evening, so I got on the treadmill and did my equivalent walk on the treadmill. And then basically I had to say, I've dropped the rings down, the numbers on the rings down, so I know that will be enough to do it. And that's just going to have to be that. We're just going to have to accept that is that. It's kind of nice. If I told one of my friends, who will remain nameless at this point in time, that was my day, I think he would be violently ill. Just at the thought of it. And would tell me so, like, that you've made me tired just by telling me that. And then there are other people that you'll be like, I did a couple of dog walks, I did a run, I did a workout, and I also... I took the kids on a walk, and all this, that, and the other. I did 16,000 steps today, without even blinking. There'd be other people who'd be like, "Oh, so you phoned it in, did you?" And I think ultimately, it's kind of that. To some people, you are doing so much more than they could comprehend that they won't even entertain it, and to other people, you stayed in bed today. What difference does it make? As long as you're satisfied that you... No, my issue is that I feel like I would become complacent and I would then be like, oh, maybe I don't need to work out today. The moment that happens, you are fucking done. The moment that you think, do you know something? Maybe I don't need to go for a run today. I'm on a diet. I don't need to run as well. You are fucked. It is over. And by it, I'm pretty much, meaning life at that point. So there is a darker side to this. I've had a strange old time. The last week's been weird. I'm trying to order it in my head. It's a subject that I wanted to talk about, but it's tricky. So I need to navigate through it, and I don't think I've quite ordered it in my head to start. So let's start and see if I can muddle it through, and we'll go on this journey together. So, as I'm sure you may have heard, I am a dad. I am a parent. I've got 4 children. I think I may have mentioned this in the past. And this is the bit where I go, all of my children are different. Because they are. They're all different. None of them are the same. And it's simultaneously wonderful and terrifying and a problem and fantastic all at the same time. They all have their different quirks and abilities and whatever. They are my SEAL Team 6. And one of them can probably breach a door and one of them I would use as a battering ram to breach a door. There you go. That kind of breaks it down quite nicely. I, as a parent, have always worked on the principle of this. I am your friend and parent. If we have to pick, unfortunately, we're picking parent. And from a parent perspective, my stance is let's have a great time. Let's have a wonderful time. Let's have fun. Let's enjoy each other's company and let's enjoy our time together on this planet. Do not piss me off. If you do, well, I'm going to open Pandora's box and I'm going to throw you in it. So, that's that. And I feel some, if not all of my children, know and understand this. They know that we can have a laugh and a joke and we can have fun and we can do good stuff and we can have a great time. Just don't fuck around. And I'm kind of okay with that. The issue comes when you want to be the dad that your kids like. Because that doesn't really allow that. It's like, okay, we can have a nice time, but you're not my favourite parent, let's put it that way. And unfortunately, you have to kind of say, that's okay. I have, as I may have mentioned, 4 children. And each one of them looks at me in a different way. One of my children is very much, well, no, I was about to say, and then worked out that it's quite obvious. So one of my children is very much a mummy's boy. What I will say is this: over the last few months, he probably has a little bit more time for me these days than he used to. There we go. I have a child that I would say loves her parents equally. I would say a 60-40 split. I have a child who acknowledges my existence, I would say. And I have a child who let's just say that's complicated, but not in a bad way. I would just say we get on well. And that's probably best left there. So, that's that. That is how my children break down, and I have to kind of accept that, I that's my lot in life. I hope in years to come they go, he was firm, he was fair, he was sometimes a dick, sometimes an asshole, but you kind of knew where you stood. That's what I hope I think that's maybe what I hope they think, what they say when that time comes, if you know what I mean. So, I've been presented with an interesting question this week, and the interesting question says a lot about me, a lot less about them. And I'm going to break down each one of them because the question is the same, the child is different. I woke up one morning and one of my children, who shall remain nameless, was stood at the side of the bed. And I was like, "Bleh!" Shit, man. If you were a ninja or an assassin, I would absolutely be dead right now because I had no idea you were there. And it's always concerning when I'm like, child. So I was a bit caught off guard. And said child gave me a hug, and was like, I love you, Daddy. And was saying all this stuff, and then just left. And like I say, this says a lot about me. This says a lot about me, nothing to do with them. But I replayed the interaction in my head, and I went, why? And I was like, that's not great. That's not a great way to think, is it? And I was like, well, hang on a minute. You work on the principle that you're not their favourite parent. You're the enforcer. You're the bad guy. You're the guy that tells them they can't do things when maybe the other parent might say they would. And all of that. So that's maybe why that's come up. It's not as bad as it might seem when there's reason, because you're like the guy that says no. And I never say no. So, when one of them's got a toy at the table and I'm like, we don't have toys at the table. Why have you got a toy? It's that. That's my job, I guess. So while I'm pondering this, another child turns up. And I can hear an interaction out down the stairs, out on the landing, all of this. And then all this stuff. Oh, you need to go. You need to go and brush your teeth. So then there's a voice. Daddy. Yes. Will you brush my teeth? I was like, yeah. Okay. Think about the things of, there's only so many times you'll have the opportunity to brush your children's teeth. The way it works in our house, for me personally, there are less opportunities anyway because of the way the mornings and bedtimes work. And it's just one of those, there are certain situations where realistically you should always say yes, because you don't know when it's going to be the last. Yes, I'll brush your teeth. The child left. The conversation out on the landing and downstairs and all of that restarted up. You need to brush your teeth. I'm going to come up and brush your teeth. No! Daddy's going to brush my teeth. And I was like, oh, I've signed up here. I've signed on. So I best probably go and do that. So I'm starting to get sorted to go and undertake the job of brushing the child's teeth. The child returns like it's Christmas morning. No joke. Like it's Christmas morning, or it's their birthday, or they're going to a theme park, singing the song Daddy's Gonna Brush My Teeth. I will give you a rendition right now. It goes a little something like this. Daddy's going to brush my teeth. Daddy's going to brush my teeth. Over and over and over. And I was like, dude, chill. But the more this went on, the more I was like, the guy's excited. I'm not going to lie. This guy is excited. So let's go brush some teeth. Brusher, 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 brusher. Teethy, teethy, teethy. Do a good 2 times. Because he said everything twice. Little Goodfellas reference there for you. So I did a good brush, and off he went. And I was like, why was that such a big deal? Why would he want that? Preferred parent, you could say, had offered. And he was like, no, Daddy's going to brush my teeth. And was ecstatic about this. And I was like, why? This was the point something started ticking in my head. And I went, oh, shit. shit, something's gone wrong. So that was that. Yesterday, there was an interaction between... There was like a triangle interaction between Leanne, one of my children, and me in 3 separate parts. There was an interaction between the child and Leanne, Leanne and me and the child. 3 separate interactions, all the same interaction. So, one of my children had the opportunity to spend time / evening / night with what is probably their best friend. Now, I have probably spoken about this before, probably at length, about how I feel about this. I am very much all in on my children spending time with their friends. I think it's super important, and largely I know that some of them don't get the opportunity elsewhere, and some of them do get opportunities, and I encourage that massively. There we go. However, as we know, for a couple of my children, I don't get to see them as much as I would like to, or anywhere close. So, in a situation where it's like, oh, you know, can I do a sleepover, or can they come and stay here, or can this situation happen, or can we go and do whatever? My response is, I only see you for this amount of time, and if you're gone for 80% of that in one way or another, I didn't really get to see you, did I? And I like seeing my children. I like spending time with my children. You know, it's genuinely like my favourite thing. So this situation come up, and I was like, you know, I've not seen them, and I want to see them, and it's been a while, and it's not. You know, I'm not going to see them for a little while, and I was getting down in the dumps. I was getting sad, and I was getting whatever, and all of this. I was like, but it's important. It's important for her to do, and I kept talking to Leanne, and she was like, but you keep doing this. You keep saying it's important for her to see her friends, but you then miss out, and you then get down and whatever and all this. I was like, but it's important. It's like, how many times are you going to use that as a reason? I'm like, don't know. I said, right, you've been invited to go for a sleepover. There's no right or wrong answer. It's entirely up to you what you do. So I just need to know so I can let the other parent know. And she was like, I do want to see my friend, but I don't want to do a sleepover. I'm like, okay, that's a valid thing, I think. So I'll just go back with that, and then we can sort something out. And we arranged for them to spend the afternoon together. Simple. Leanne's like, oh, I've had a message. I'm like, the worst phrase in our house is, I've had a message. It never equates to anything good. So I'm like, for fuck's sake. Simple, cuts out the middle, man. So I've had a message. Okay, go on. From said child, saying that there's been a conversation, and do you want to come to my house? And I personally feel that it was still in that vein of, we can still do a sleepover. And said child has said, I'm happy to do something, but I don't want to do a sleepover. I don't want to have a sleepover because I want to see my dad this weekend. I want to spend some time with him this evening, and I want to do stuff with him. So that's my reason. And I went, oh, that's really nice. But why? This was the point where I went, shit. There is seriously something wrong here. Did I mention I've got 4 children? Well, guess what? Today, me and my eldest are gearing up to do something that I'll talk about in the game section. We were getting ready to play a game together. It is, not going to lie, a genuine highlight of my existence, which is a whole other thing, and I'll go into it a little bit. Anyway, me and my eldest gearing up. I've done absolutely everything possible so that I can put myself in the best possible position to be able to do this, and I am just about ready. I did possibly the most monster workout I think I might have done I was going to say ever. It was so sick. It was so clean. It was borderline perfection. Honestly, I was a little bit, a little bit excited, if you know what I mean. I came off the back of that. I'm like, I'm going to throw food down my neck, as much protein as humanly possible, so that I'm in a better position. Because man, that workout was a monster. So, child number 4, Daddy. Yes. Go on. Will you take me out on my skateboard? Now, this is the point where I process all of the things that have happened in the last week. The child who was ecstatic that I was going to brush his teeth. The child that wanted to give me a big hug and tell me how much she loved me. The child that wanted to not spend time with her friend, and would prefer to spend time with her old man. And I said, sure, let me get finished up here and I'll take you out on your skateboard. And we went out on the skateboard, and my daughter has these wild ideas that she can do certain things. And a lot of them are actually spot on, because she has this insane athletic ability where she can basically do any athletic ability, like anything athletic, she can do it. Anything she can turn her hand to. It's insane. It is absolutely her superpower. Skateboarding seems to be escaping her, and I'm like, and when is she going to get this? Is she going to understand that maybe she can't do this? And all of a sudden I was like, maybe help her. I'm like, yeah, but maybe she doesn't want me to help her. It's like, we're obviously here for a reason. So I was like, right, rather than doing the way you're doing it, it's slightly wrong. So if you do it a little bit more like this, you're going to get a better result. All right, okay, off she goes. I was like, not quite. I was like, look, that might not work for you, so maybe try this, and this, and this, and if you combine all those things together, maybe you'll be able to do it. All right, okay. Off she went. And I was like, yeah, kind of like that. A little bit like that. Maybe, give it another go. By the time we got round the corner, she was skating off down the street. And I'm like, you have done really well there. I started videoing her. And I was like, it's strange. Like, perception is weird. Like, you've got those different levels. Like, if I wasn't around, I imagine they'd be like, oh man, he's not here. That's a shame. Anyway, I am being facetious, obviously. I imagine that if I wasn't here, then they wouldn't be happy about it. But I'm also like, you'll get over it, you'll survive, you'll move on, you'll be fine. And that's perception. And the last week has taught me that maybe my perception could be wrong. It might not be, but it might be. I put lots of weight on. Yep. Put lots of weight on. Lot of weight. Or did I? You knew it was coming. Yes, I did. I put on a lot of weight. Between last Monday and today, there was a 5 pound difference. And I was informing Leanne of this morning, and I was like, £5 difference. And she was about to launch into any number of, well, maybe it's this, or maybe it's that, or maybe you should cut out this, or maybe you should try that, maybe you shouldn't be such a fat fuck, or, any of those kind of things. And as she sort of started to launch into it, I was like, however, if you go back to the week before, I am 2 pounds lighter. Also, if you don't count last Monday, I am my second lightest weight ever. And last Monday, if we remember, I was coming off the back of a week's fast. So although I've put on 5 pounds, I have technically, yes I know, I've technically come in 2 pounds less than I was, and second lowest weight ever. Now I will say this, I have eaten like an absolute savage today. The dog in me was hungry. I knew it was a bad start when I was like, I need to have my protein shake thing that I make at like, I think it was like 11 o'clock. I was like, this is a bad sign. This is a bad start. But it's Monday, so, the weigh-in is done. I was going to go into this long conversation about abs. But I'm going to save that for a rainy day because unconfirmed things are afoot. That is actually the week. In a lot of ways, there was something. I've been all day today. I've been racking my brain. There was something I was like, oh my god, I've got to add that to the list, and I didn't. And all day and all evening, I've been racking my brains, and I cannot think. So let's move on. It might come back. I don't think it will at this point. TV wise, just a little bit of TV. Movies are a bit of a. TV wise, all we've watched is Blacklist season 3. Leanne is well and truly invested. Like, she is in it. So watching it kind of that side of things makes easier watching because she's invested. She was telling me that she was really enjoying this season. We've kind of got, I would say, probably halfway through, and there's been like a conclusion. It was even called, like the episode we watched was like conclusion. Do wonder in a lot of situations when we deal with these series, I do wonder where they're going to go from here. There are 10 series of The Blacklist. We're halfway through series 3, and it is all change at this point. So who knows where it's going from here? Like, even the next episode is a bit of a, what's it going to be? Obviously, I'll keep you updated on that. A couple of movies. There was the K-pop Demon Hunters sing-along event at the cinema this weekend, or the weekend just gone, however you want to look at it. I asked all the girls what they wanted to do. My eldest said no. The other two said yes. I don't know how to phrase this other than just... My eldest not going saved me a tenner. So I was a bit like, okay, the tickets were so expensive for a film we've seen multiple times. I took the other two girls to see it at the cinema yesterday. They watched it this morning. You know, it's that kind of thing. We went, it was a sing-along event. I had that conversation with them where I was like, going to the cinema is one thing, going to this kind of cinema is very different. You can sing along. They actively encourage it. They were the only two people in the cinema that were singing, but there was only 6 other people in the cinema besides us. So, hey, I was happy for them to sing at full volume. And a lot of it was largely masked because ultimately the singing was on the screen and it was loud. So, who gives a shit? It's a fantastic film. It's a great film. The soundtrack's great. It's a great premise. It's just such a phenomenon. It's brilliant. I was kind of happy to pay the money to go, whilst at the same time not. So, me and my eldest sat down to watch a movie. By no means a new one because it was from 1974. But as I said recently, I'll probably update you briefly on films my eldest is watching. What's nice is recently she's been gravitating towards comedy. And I'm sure there's no surprise, no secret at this point in time. I love comedy. So I'm always like, oh, you could watch this or you watch that. She's watched some of my favourite, not only movies, but favourite comedies. Up to this point, and our movie this weekend was no disappointment in that field because we watched Blazing Saddles, keeping in the Mel Brooks theme. Now then, this is one of those situations where I go, this could be the one where she's like, I didn't really find it all that funny. I didn't laugh. It wasn't great. I also had to say to her, look, I've kind of put off watching this with you because it's got some terminology, it's got some words, and it's got some themes in it that aren't necessarily PC. Certainly these days, they weren't PC in those days, but they were, that was the joke. So I was like, I need you to understand that these words and phrases are just, they're using it in a particular way. It's designed to be a joke. And that is the end of that sort of thing. I was like, you are old enough to understand what words you should and shouldn't be using. So I rolled the dice. My biggest fear was that, like I say, she wasn't going to enjoy it. Didn't take long before she was laughing, and I was like, we're off to a winner here. I asked her this morning, how did you find your film? She was like, it was really good. I really enjoyed it. And again, that's one of those I'm like, yeah. She liked it, especially towards the end where she's like, what the hell is going on in this film? I was like, yep, it gets real weird at this point. Few options came up off the back of it. Cannonball Run 1 and 2. That's up there on the list now. And so on. So yes, Blazing Saddles, which is, it's just great. Let's face it, it's just a great film. It's 51 years old. Phenomenal. Computer games wise, I've had a bit of a weird week with computer games. I kind of got out of VR and then all of a sudden I thrust myself back into VR. So there's that to talk about. However, other games wise, you'll notice that there's a couple of games missing, and I'll go through why that is. So let's get started. I have played most, I'm guessing, of the Final Fantasy 16 demo. A friend recommended it to me, said it's not Final Fantasy, that's for sure. And I put the demo on and played it and went, you're damn skippy, it's not. I don't know if that means it's better or worse. It's very reminiscent of 15 in the combat and movement, which I really liked in 15. I just didn't like any of the other stuff that went with it. So I'm a bit like, okay. This one is very much, there's a lot of swearing, which is weird. A lot of gore. Somebody pointed out to me Final Fantasy hasn't had gore previously. I was a bit like, I didn't even notice that. So they've gone with a change there. I haven't finished the demo because the demo was just a bit much. Phrase a friend of mine said, the same friend that recommended it to me, is he was talking about a game and he was like, it was the best movie I was ever forced to play. And I said this back to him. I was like, it was the best movie I was forced to play because it's just really long, really in-depth, really drawn-out cutscenes, which I don't have time for anymore. I have almost zero interest. I am skipping the story in a game I am playing that I've never played before at the moment because I just don't care. I just want the game. I don't want the story. I will go back and try and finish the demo off just to get a bit more of a rounded view of it. I'm not going to be rushing out to buy it, but if it appears cheaper than it is now, I may look at picking it up. Don't know if I mentioned this last week, because I don't know if I'd started playing it at that point, but I have recently jumped back into playing Hogwarts Legacy, I want to say. Not sure. I could look it up, but I'm not going to. Whatever the Hogwarts game, whatever the Harry Potter game, Hogwarts Legacy, let's say it's that for now. I've been playing that recently. I always intended to go back to it, but always struggled with the concept because I'm one of the 1% of people who have finished that game. I don't think 100%ed it, but I do think I collected everything in it originally. So not only did I finish it, I've really finished that game. Any game you've played like that is super difficult to go back to. All of a sudden, I was ready for it. So I've played quite a bit. However, any game like that where you're going back to, at the start you can't fly your broomstick. I remembered that I had pretty sure I had a hippogriff at one point. You know, you've just gone so far backwards. It's hard to come forwards, I think. I had an absolute nightmare trying to get a game to run on the Steam Deck. Turned out, patience is a virtue, my child, because if I'd have just waited 2 minutes, it would have loaded when I thought it wasn't loaded. So I've been playing Watch Dogs, which is a game that I play every now and then, and I play for so long, and then I stop. That's probably what's happening at the moment. And I probably think that the reason I'm playing all of these different games is to get away from the fact that I can't play Assassin's Creed Shadows because it's dull. And I've taken a mini break from Elden Ring because, and I hate to say this, it got too stressful. And that's not necessarily the game itself. It got too stressful having to use the video walkthrough and play the game. And I know what you're going to say. Stop using the video then, dickhead, and just play the game. I can't. I don't know what to do in that game. I don't know how to play it. I don't know what to do. So I need the guide. I need some sort of guide. So that's why I'm doing it this way. Me and my eldest have been playing DC Universe Online. She made a new character today. I have brought some super old characters out of mothballs by reinstalling the game to the PlayStation and discovering all of my original characters who were all super high levels and had super cool gear and all this and the other. So we've been using my old characters to help her level up as fast as possible by basically sending a level 30 character into like a level 10 dungeon and I just wipe everything out for her and she gets all the experience points for it. That's been fun. She's built another character in a different version of the game. So that allows her the opportunity to play on the PlayStation and me to play on the Steam Deck. A lot of fun. Honestly, a lot of fun. I don't know how long this will run for. I don't know how long it's going to keep her interest. It seems to be keeping her interest at the moment. I did highlight to her what end game looks like in that and how big the game becomes past the point where you technically finish it. And I think it was a little overwhelming in a way. But I was a bit like, we'll do it together. It'll be fine. I've really enjoyed revisiting this game. It's a game that I have a deep fondness for, and to be able to play it with one of my children is equally as fond. I believe we're building memories. Final thing is, yes, I did re-enter the VR space because it got cold and I was able to do that. I went straight back into the Radius and started a new game, and I'm just sort of kind of trundling through it, trying a couple of different things here and there. I think I've ended up with these super monstrous loadouts, like 6, 7 different weapons, like all with different ammo types, all with different amounts of like additional clips and attachments for the weapons, so much so that the game can't actually remember it all. So it just gives up so far through. Like, you can't equip any more laser sights to these weapons and this, that, and the other. So I'm thinking of doing a super trimmed down build, like an assault rifle and a handgun and a few boxes of ammo, and off out into the wilds I go and just see how I get on, see how far I get. I think it'll be interesting to do. I've been trying a few other things with like certain areas that are dense with enemies to see the best way to deal with X number of enemies. You know, is it just rattle through clip after clip after clip, working on the principle that you've got an endless supply of ammo, even though that's not the case, and just see what happens? Or, you know, should you be creeping behind walls and sniping and whatever? So I'm kind of enjoying that experimental side of things. It's been kind of fun. So yeah, there we go. That's the week in a nutshell. Big thank you for watching. Big thank you for being here, and I will catch you next time. So there we go. What do you think to that? Another one done. Another one gone. Big thank you for watching. Big thank you for listening. Big thank you for being here. Before you leave us, if you're new here, please consider like, share, subscribe, and comment. If you've been here a while and you haven't done any of those things, please, could you think about it? Just a little click of a button, maybe. Leave a review where you can leave a review, and check out the website, thecookiecast.com. There we have social media links and an email button, and that way you can get in touch with us. That's it for this one. Until next time, I'm going to say bye, and I'll see you then.
This has been another episode of CookieCast. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, share and subscribe.